Well, that's where we're keeping our focus this morning. That report by Amnesty International indicting the Nigerian army of complacency at some point. But we've been joined by the director, Amnesty International, Nigeria, Osai Ojibo, from our Abuja studios. So I want to thank you so much indeed for joining us this morning on Sunrise Daily. Your report, let's talk about it a little bit further. Your report, how did you come about it?
Thank you. The report we released yesterday captures the herders and farmer clashes that has been going on in Nigeria for the last few years. And the way we went about it was to do a combination of visits to affected villages, as well as interviews with victims, with eyewitnesses. We also did a round of mapping of the media monitoring that had occurred during this period, as well as reviewed official documents and had access to other audiovisual materials, pictures, videos, which had been captured during this period in time.
The direct implication that the army made this to happen, or did the army carry out this reports that you're referring to?
The herders and farmers clashes is something that has been going on for quite a long time. If you recall in the background, we stated that this had been escalating since 1999. But in the last few years, since Amnesty International has been monitoring it, we've seen that the numbers have increased. The incidents have become more rampant, and the number of deaths have also increased, despite the fact that many of these communities have given warnings to security agencies, alerting them of impending attacks. So we're now in a situation where due to slow response in dealing with this crisis, people have resorted to self-help. Most of the attacks that happened in 2018, for example, were retaliatory, whereby different communities will attack, then they would retaliate, and then the cycle of violence continues. So what our report actually puts out there, that the violence has escalated to this level because no one has been effectively punished for it. None of the criminals and none of the perpetrators of these acts of violence and killings and murders in these communities have been brought before a court of law, successfully prosecuted and punished, so that people know that this sort of behavior is not acceptable, and this has further put other people's lives at risk. And the more we leave this to rest, then it means even other neighboring states would also be affected.
From your submissions, that it's as a result of inactions. But that doesn't necessarily translate to having the army implicated, does it?
If you've read our report, you would see that we placed everything in terms of what was currently going on, as well as the lack of response. But we also highlighted the fact that when we say security agents, we don't just mean the Nigerian army. We also mean the police, and that needs to be clarified. And where there have been cases also where eyewitnesses reported that the army were involved in also creating the situation, we've also highlighted it. So the report is quite comprehensive in terms of the experiences of both sides. And both of them all point to the fact that they relied on the security agents to help them, and the help was not forthcoming. In fact, in a few cases, you would find a situation where there was an allegation of asking for money in order for security protection, where the villagers also provided that money, and still no security came. So this violence has led to at least 3,641 deaths. We say at least because these are the figures that we've been able to
if you let me butt in here, if you let me just butt in very quickly, because you said if you allow me to butt in very quickly, you said that you got account that monies were being requested by the security agencies. Did I get that right? And if that is correct, did you at any point engage the security concerns in that case to find out if they asked for bribe money?
I can't hear him. Can you repeat the question?
Did you at any point...
Can you repeat the question?
In your submission, you said that you got accounts from your investigation that monies were being paid as bribe to protect the people. But were you at any point again able to reach out to the security agencies concerned in this case to find out if any bribe was given to protect the people's lives.
That was just one instance that we mentioned. In our report, we mentioned quite a few other incidents. What you need to understand is that the way Amnesty works, when we get our findings from the field, we communicate this to the authorities. We wrote to the Nigerian army. We shared with them, these were the findings we found on the ground. These were the allegations that were brought to our notice. What have you done about them? What is your own side of the story? But each time we've written, and it's not just limited to this particular report, they evade answering those questions. It's either they refuse to respond, or they refer us to other agencies like the Ministry of Justice, or they choose not to respond until smear campaigns like this. So it's important for us to bring right on the table that at no point does Amnesty International, whether in Nigeria or elsewhere, publishes a report without giving an opportunity to the authorities to clarify situation on ground, to provide further information in order to clear some of the allegations that have been put forward. And